I know the one thing we did right was the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
On August 21st, 1955, two teenagers from Chicago boarded a train and traveled south to visit family in Mississippi.
We was going down there to pick some kiting because I never picked any kiting before. And I was looking forward to do that because I had told my mother that I could pick 200 pounds. And she told me I could, you know. So we was going down there to look for a good time, you know.
For more than a year, racial tensions in the South had been higher than usual, since the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Board of Education that segregated schools were unconstitutional. The decision touched a raw nerve in the white South, and many organized to preserve white supremacy. For years, groups like the Ku Klux Klan practiced terrorism. Despite national black protest, public murders of blacks were common, and the mobs who committed them went unpunished. In the previous 70 years, there had been more than 500 documented lynchings in Mississippi alone. Coming from Chicago, Curtis Jones and his cousin Emmett Till had little sense of the world they were entering when they arrived in Money, Mississippi.
Emmett Till was, at the time, he was 14 years old. Had just graduated out of grammar school. He had some picture of some white kids that he had graduated from. That was, you know, female and male. So he told the boys down there, you know, hey, you got around this store? It must have been around about maybe 10 to 12, you know, youngsters around there, that the girls was his girlfriend, you know. So one of the local boys said, hey, there's a girl in that store there, so I bet you want to go in there and talk to her, you know. So he went in there to, you know, get some candy. So when he was leaving out the store, after buying the candy, he told us, say, bye, baby. And the next thing I knew, one of the boys came up to me and say, man, you got a crazy cousin. He just went in there and said bye to that white woman. And that's when this man I was playing checker with, this older man, I guess he must have been around about 60 or 70, he jumped straight up and said, boy, say, y'all about to get out of here, say, that lady come out of that store and blow y'all brains off.
This is Mose Wright. I am the uncle of Emmett Louis Till. Sunday morning, about 2:30, someone called at the door. And I said, who is it? And he said, this is Mr. Brian. I want to talk with you and the boy. And when I opened the door, there was a man standing with a pistol in one hand and a flashlight in the other hand. And he asked me, did I have two boys there from Chicago? I told him I have. And he said, I want the boy that done all that talk. They marched him to the car, and they asked someone there, was this is the right boy? And the answer was, yes. And they drove toward Money.
4 days later, Emmett Till's body was found in the Tallahatchie River.
The body was so badly damaged that we couldn't hardly just tell who he was, but he happened to have on a ring with his initial, and that cleared it up.
The body was shipped home, back north to Chicago, where Mamie Till Bradley insisted on an open casket funeral. So all the world can see, she said, what they did to my boy.
Of sorrow, This old wide world.
Jet magazine showed Till's corpse, beaten, mutilated, shot through the head. An entire generation of young black people would remember the horror of that photo.
For tomorrow.
Roy Bryant, husband of the woman in the store, and J.W. Milam, her brother-in-law, were arrested for the murder of Emmett Till. The trial was held in nearby Sumner, Mississippi. Black organizations like the NAACP and the Black Press worked especially hard to keep the case in the news, to make an example of Southern racism for the world.
I had covered the courts in many areas of this country, but the Till case was unbelievable. I mean, I just didn't get the sense of being in a courtroom. It was, first place, segregated. The black press sat at a bridge table far off from the court, and the boy's mother came down. They sat her there at the bridge table with us.
What do you intend to do here today?
To answer any questions that the attorneys might ask me to answer.
How do you think you could possibly be a help to them?
I don't know. I mean, just by answering whatever questions that they ask me.
I see. Do you have any evidence bearing on this case?
I do know that this is my son.
The defense argued that the body found tied to the cotton gin fan in the river was so disfigured that it could not be identified as Emmett Till. The trial took 5 long, hot days. The prosecution's star witness was Till's uncle, Mose Wright, who testified despite threats to his life.
He was called upon to, could he see anybody in the courtroom, identify anybody in that courtroom that had come to his house that night and got the Emmett Till out. He stood up, and there was a tension in the courtroom. And he says, in his broken language, "Dar he."
Dar he, there he is.
I really didn't realize how brave my grandfather Mose Wright was, you know. But after I got older, I realized that he was a brave man. He was a mighty brave man to travel back down there, you know, among all those hostile peoples and testify and get him up in court and point his finger at a white man and accuse him of murder.
As the trial ended, a defense lawyer told the jury he was, quote, "sure every last Anglo-Saxon one of you has the courage to free these men." It took the jury an hour to find the men not guilty. Months later, for a fee of $4,000, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milam told their story to reporter William Bradford Huey.
Milam was startled at the belligerent attitude, or the fact that young Till didn't appear to be afraid of him. Now, he'd gone and gotten him out of bed and had him in the back of a truck, and young Till never realized the danger he was in. I'm quite sure that he never thought these 2 men would kill him. And, or maybe he's just in such a strange environment, he just doesn't know what he's up against. And it seems, to a rational mind today, it seems impossible that they could have killed him. But J.W. Milam looked up at me and said, well, when he told me about this white girl he had, he says, my friend, that's what this war is about down here now. He says, that's what we got to fight to protect. And he says, I just looked at him and I said, boy, you ain't going to never see the sun come up again.
I believe that the whole United States is mourning with me. And if the death of my son can mean something to the other unfortunate people all over the world, then for him to have died a hero would mean more to me than for him just to have died.
The fact that Emmett Till, a young black man, could be found floating down the river in Mississippi, as indeed many had been done over the years, just set in concrete the determination of people to move forward.